What is it about the Jewish state, the Jewish army, defending itself? I simply can't make sense of it. The anniversary of that brutality, the anniversary of that savagery is being celebrated tomorrow. It's nothing new. We've seen it happening days after the October 7th massacres by Hamas terrorists. There were ceasefire protests. There were Israel, don't shoot your next shot. Why? I hear my detractors saying Israel is not Jewish. Don't conflate the two. But hear me out, there's a distinction here. In the days after October 7th atrocities, where did this galvanizing support of the Hamas actions come from? I champion free speech. I champion listening to the other side and what they have to say. I read the Nazi propaganda. I listen to the Hamas sympathizers. I listen to the Hezbollah sympathizers. 364 days a year they have to profess their case to the general public. But October 7th is the day they choose to celebrate the massacring, butchery, and savagery of their people. Shame on them. Shame on how they treat their fellow human beings. What explains the one day of the calendar year to celebrate this massacre? What substantiates their actions in that instantly the most targeted military operation to ever, and probably that will ever, be conducted by a military is automatically wrong? What does the world tap into instantly where such precision, brain power, intellect is smeared as an act of terror, as high up as a former director of the CIA and Secretary of Defense in the United States? How come when the IDF boasts a 1-to-2 combatant to civilian ratio and the American Army in two countries boast a 1-to-4, and that's being generous, combatant to civilian ratio? How come the IDF that's villainized a lot more than the American Army? Both are women and men of valor. Both are protectors of our liberties in the Western world. But there's something that galvanizes loads of people, that implants hatred throughout, that makes people hate seeing Jews defend themselves, seeing Israel defend itself, because it is the largest center of Jewish population in this world. By chance, is it that the UN has an X on Israel's back? By chance, is it the one day a year where it suffered its worst attack in history its detractors decide to celebrate? You guys know I preach following what the other side has to say. Perhaps there's something to be learned, something that you weren't exposed to, and just to see what the other side has to say, because that's how you eventually meet in the middle. Don't give in to polarization and festering of extremism. And generally, the way forward is through centrism, moderation. But there's something that I always resort to in one of my great readings of Adam Grant in his book, Think Again. In order to see if somebody's actually open to discussion with you and learning, he has a great line where he says something, and I'm paraphrasing here, but he has a great line where he says, you can ask the person you're talking to, is there any data point I can give you that'll change your mind? And if they answer no, there's nothing you can give them that'll change their mind, conversation's basically over. How many of those people who will be celebrating tomorrow, on October 7th, have their minds open to hear what the other side has to say? How did we get to a place in this world where Hezbollah, who has American, French, Syrian, Druze blood on their hands, is being protected in all of those countries, both ideologically and physically? How did we get to a place where I have to use my freedom of speech to tell others that terrorism is wrong, that Hezbollah are not nice people? How did we get to a place where hate and simple facts are controversial? Hezbollah are terrorists. Hamas are terrorists. They are savages. What happened on October 7th, 2023 was grotesque and disgusting. I can't believe I had to say that, and it wasn't self-evident from what we've seen. To those who will be demonstrating tomorrow, I doubt you even made it this far in the video. Is there any data point we can give you that'll convince you of this? That will change your mind? Why is it that instantly, not for the sake of truth, when there are reports of rape and beheadings, there's an instant effort by most of the anti-Israel crowd to prove Israel is lying? Not to seek the truth, but to discredit those reports. This double standard reeks of one hate. Singling this one nation out reeks of this one hate. Engage with the other side. See what they have to say. It can educate us. It can enlighten us. But tomorrow, October 7th, should not be a cause for celebration. Not even, to some of you, a day of commemoration. A year ago that day, I took to camera, right here. I had an Israeli flag up behind me because myself, dare I say the Jewish people, were uncertain, were shaken, and I refused to be silent. The best governments to treat the Jewish people, besides for the Jewish one, are these United States of America. Enshrined are our free speech rights. It is sad that I have to use these free speech rights to defend our right to determine ourselves, to govern ourselves, and to denounce enemies, foreign and domestic. We now have domestic enemies harboring the ideas of foreign terror groups. Shame on them. And by the grace of God, I will use that free speech, just as they'll be using theirs, in the most disgusting and grotesque ways. It is up to you, the viewer. What will you see their actions for? What will you see this video for? The point of this video, from me to you, is simply to vent my frustration. I cannot believe the discourse in this country got to the point where I have to say, terror is wrong and conversation is right. Terror is wrong and shouldn't be celebrated, but should be mourned. If a tragedy, any tragedy, happened to someone else, do you dance on their grave? Do you laugh at a funeral? This is not to say whatever happened on the anti-Israel side didn't face travesty, sadness, injustice. That doesn't change the fact that October 7th is not a day of celebration. No army is perfect. No person is perfect. No people are perfect. But a step towards normalcy, reasonableness, and humanity is not celebrating a massacre, is not smiling at a time of somber. May we not face violence, war, and hate any longer. Thank you for watching.